How you doing, guys? Big Mac Nanskoll here today, back once again with another Mortal Realms video for you. Today, I'm going to be taking a look through the pages of issue 9. Before we get started, I'd like to thank D-Forks for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to sponsor a Mortal Realms video, you can do so by pledging to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. You can pledge at a $12 level to sponsor a video like this. You can pledge at a $5 level, and you can pledge at a $1 level, depending on your budget. You can change it each month if you want to, and you can stop sponsoring me and stop pledging to my Patreon if you want to at any time. But yeah, thanks to D-Forks for sponsoring this video. It is the Patreons that really help the channel and enable me to continue making these Mortal Realms videos, so please consider pledging. But if you can't, then that's okay too. Let's crack on with the video. So, what do we get in this week's issue of Mortal Realms? Well, there's been something I've been neglecting. We've had 2 of them already, and there's a 3rd one arrived in this issue. It's a pull-out that tells us about a particular age. So, prior to the Age of Sigmar, there were other ages. There was the Age of Chaos, and there were a few others. This one we got in this issue describes the Age of Myth. Now, I'm not going to go into any detail in this particular video to tell you about the Age of Myth. What I think I'll probably do is, on my Patreon, throw up some videos on there describing the Age of Myth, the Age of Chaos, and the Age of... I want to say Strife, but that's a 40k thing, I know, so maybe there is an Age of Strife in Age of Sigmar as well. I'm not too sure. But yeah, let's crack on with the video about the magazine rather than the actual pullout. So, this magazine, we get the Sequitors and the Castigators, and it's 5 models altogether. It's a little hard to estimate the value of these models because they're models that come within the Soul Wars box. There's 8 sprues in the Soul Wars box altogether, and the box is £95. So, working it out simply, the sprue is worth approximately £11.87. Now, you could argue that 5 models from Games Workshop would typically cost you more than £11.87. You could give it a value of about £25, just off the top of my head. I can't remember how much they are now on the website, but Dire Avengers from Eldar, they're about £25 for 5 models, but it varies greatly. Easy to build models typically might only cost you about £10 or maybe 15, something like that. So, like I said, it's a little hard to estimate the cost of this issue, the value of this issue, the models within. But I'm going to give it a value of around £12, so you're saving about £4 in this issue. Discover Legions of Nagash is also on the front cover, and new rules in the playthrough, which is all to do with saving throws. But turning onto the first page, we get the Marks of the Righteous. This is all about the livery worn by the Stormcast Eternals. It's 2 pages talking about the livery displayed by the Stormcast and what it means. So, for example, just to pick out a few little bits, if a Stormcast has an Azerite beast on their left shoulder pad, it's a mark of an officer, basically. So, typically, like a Sequitor Prime? Is that a thing? I feel like it is. I'm not sure. A Liberator Prime is definitely a thing, so let's go with Liberator Prime. Yeah, so a Liberator Prime is like a squad leader, basically. If they've got the beast on the shoulder pad, that marks them out as a squad leader. They also, something you see on most, if not all, Stormcasts, is on their shield and on their right shoulder pad, they have various different marks. Some will be like a hammer with 2 lightning bolts coming out of it. Some will be a fist holding a hammer, and like an eclipse and stuff like that. And this indicates which striking they were forged in. That particular Stormhost, is that the thing? The shield and shoulder pad markers indicate the striking in which the Stormhost was created. Yeah, so basically it indicates which striking. So if they were amongst the first Stormcast created by Sigmar, for example, they will have the hammer, with the long haft and the 2 lightning bolts coming out from the head of the hammer. That's the first striking. I know that much. On to the next page, we get Legions of Nagash. Legions of Nagash. This is all about the undead warriors and how they are limitless in number, or near limitless at least. They're divided into legions made up of different kinds of undead. The Mortarchs command each legion. The legion's martial character depends on the Mortarch, so the Mortarch very much influences and determines the way in which they fight. The foot soldiers are immune to fear and slay the living on behalf of their masters. There's the Legion of Night. This is one of the legions led by Manfred von Karstein. The fear and confusion is their weapon of choice, and their foes are butchered, flayed and strung up on display in a gory way. I mean, there's not an ungory way to flay and string someone up on display, is there? It's all pretty gory, so I don't know why I had to specify it was gory. Nagesh uses them when he wants to make an example of a particular enemy. On to the next page, or rather the next legion, we get the Legion of Sacrament, which is led by Arkan the Black, not Archaon, Arkan the Black. And he's very strong in necromancy. He's like second only to Nagash when it comes to necromancy. His powers are on point, as they say. And then we get the Legion of Blood, led by Queen Neferata. She's a massive weaver of a web of plots, or she is a weaver of a massive web of plots. She's a weaver of a massive web of plots, and her agents are spread throughout the realms. Her followers have a rage as well that comes from just desire to please her and climb the ranks of her legion. On to the next page, we get the Valley of Bones, and this is a short story. It's really atmospheric. It depicts the swing of battle, basically, between two sides. So the Nighthaunts vastly outnumber the Stormcast, and the Stormcast are being, for want of a better word, banished back to Azir. Every time they're struck down, the lightning strikes and brings that fallen warrior back to Azir to be reforged. So then the storm host starts to dwindle until a horn rings out across the battlefield. The Nighthaunts ignore it and they just keep ploughing into the storm hosts. They ignore it at their peril though, because the storm hosts get reinforced massively. There's Vanguard Paladors in the fray, which are these cool bird horses. They're like the Griff Chargers, they're called, I think. We've had Griff Hounds in with the Castigators already in issue 3, I think it was. But now we get Griff Chargers, which are like a horse-sized Griff Hound, basically. And they are ridden into battle by Stormcasts, and they charge across the battlefield, swinging their Stormsmite mauls and whatever other weapons they carry, to banish a lot of Nighthaunts, and then the battle swings in favour of the Stormcasts. And yeah, it's a really cool atmospheric battle, so definitely when you get this issue, read it yourself. And then on to the next page, we get how to build the Sequitors and Castigators. 2 simple pages, a two-page simple guide, and it talks about the kits. They're all still easy to build though, these kits. So they've all got like the pegs and plugs. Is that the right thing? Pegs and sockets, plugs and sockets, something like that. Yeah, plugs and sockets works, doesn't it? Because that's like plugging a plug into a socket on a wall. Yeah, plugs and sockets, let's say. So yeah, you can build them without glue still at this stage. It's fantastic. On to the next page, we get how to paint the Sequitors and Castigators, rather. 6 pages bring you new models up to the same stage as the rest of your storm host. It also has a handy tip on cleaning your brushes, and if you've been dry brushing or something like that, you might have a lot of paint in the bristles of your brush. Just use a little bit of soap to get that paint off. I myself have brush soap, which is specifically designed for paintbrushes, but you can just use ordinary soap or conditioner and it'll help get that paint off of those bristles. The next page, or a few pages later, after the how to paint section, we get The Dead Refuse to Die, which is a 6-page tutorial. It's a playthrough, you just play through it as before, and it introduces saving throws into the mix. So now, not only do I have to roll to wound my opponent's models, but he can then roll a saving throw. All of the models we've got in this playthrough, and then we get 3 data scrolls. We get 3 war scrolls updated in this issue, and all the models that we have war scrolls for in this issue have a 4+ save. I don't know whether that's going to be there that's actually their save in the game proper, or if they're keeping it simple at this early stage in the collection of Warhammer Mortal Realms magazine. But yeah, like I said, we get the updated War Scrolls, and all the units we've got have a 4+ save. Coming soon to a mortal realm near you. In issue 10, we are getting the Tomb Banshee and Khorne Red, but we knew that from last week, didn't we? I wonder what we're going to get in issue 11. We are getting our first terrain kit. This is fantastic news for me. I'm a lover of terrain, and this terrain that we're getting, the Sigmarite Mausoleum, we're getting part 1 of it, so I imagine it's just going to be one of the buildings or something. Yeah, this, for me, you could use this in 40k as well as Age of Sigmar, so I'd be happy to take this and place it on a kill team battlefield as a bit of line of sight blocking terrain. More than happy, as long as you don't paint it. Well, no, you like, because 40k is it's a fantasy setting essentially, despite the fact that it's set in the far future. It's like sci-fi or science fantasy rather than science fiction. So I'd be happy to use a lot of things from Age of Sigmar and put them into 40k because the setting's like very magical still. But yeah, we're getting that in the following issue. Okay, I've got nothing written on this page, so I guess I better just sign off as I normally do. It's going to be a cool issue for me, that issue 11. Yes, 11, I covered it with my thumb there. But don't forget to check out the link in the description below to my Patreon. I'll try and put it as a pinned comment as well. Sometimes I do, sometimes I forget. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the battlefield.